And we're live. Welcome everybody again to another episode of Invite Only. Mario and Keegan over here, and we're here with Jordan Coburn, movement coach based out of Atlanta, Georgia. What's up, Jordan? How's everything going?
Everything's well. Everything's well. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being part of it. Thank you for coming in. So wanted to talk to you about a little bit about yourself. And as you know, like one of our focuses, especially for like from the last episode that we did, has been around mental health. But as a movement coach, we wanted to learn a little bit about your expertise there, talk a little bit about what it is that you do and how you incorporate, movement therapy with mental health.
Yes. So the basis behind me becoming a movement coach, it's a compilation of a lot of things. So I was a track athlete all through high school, all through college. I ended up after college, we're going back to my old high school and becoming a track coach. And doing that, I just really started to look at the body differently. And so now I'm managing not only my own body, but I'm training other, young bodies. And then I got into yoga for my own body, and I saw the benefits that I could have been using if I was still competing. And I was like, let me teach this to my athletes, and to help out with injury prevention, but also injury rehab and recovery. From there, yoga wasn't working fast enough for me, so I then switched over to. I went to massage school to become a sports massage therapist. And then while in massage school, I realized like just regular massage is not what I want. I don't want to use sheets and drapes and soft music and lotions. It's just weird. It is like, Keegan, I did a session with you. My session is nothing like that.
Yeah.
So I saw this company, this physiotherapist in Toronto, who did manual therapy, and I was like, I need to train with him. So I went up there, trained with him for a week. I applied, got accepted. When it was me and 5 others in that program, did that, and I also went down to Arizona twice for 2 separate stretch therapy certifications. So combining fascial therapy with stretch therapy, with my educational background of yoga, track and field, sports performance, personal training, allowed me to get to, combining all of that to be a movement coach. I also got certified to be a level 2 animal flow instructor. And I educate that. I teach that as a one-on-one mobility work, but also in like fitness classes. So overall, I believe in, movement, and I believe movement heals movement. We all need to move. It's a necessity of our life. So my motto is more movement, more life.
That's dope.
You say animal flow?
Yeah, I was just about to say, can you tell us what animal flow is?
Can't skip over that.
Yeah, animal flow is a ground-based workout, calisthenic workout. So that can be used, it's a system, it's a program, but it can be used as a workout or a stretching and mobility tool. So it's like yoga on steroids. So you're not like on a mat, and you're moving and flowing just across the floor. There's no front of the room, there's no back of the room. You're just kind of flowing, and different moves within the program, within the movements, are very animal based. So all the moves are called out are based off animals. So you have static beast, static crab, deep ape, crocodile roll, baboon, leopard walk, scorpion. So it's all animal names, but it's like all those names are called because it's similar to an animal movement.
Is this rooted in some type of like martial arts, or like where did it really originate from?
The instructor that started, Mike Fitch, he studied breakdancing, a little bit of capoeira, yoga, studying animal movements. I'm not sure if it comes from outside of capoeira, it comes from a martial arts form, because it is it's very ground based. So it's still within the calisthenic world too. So within like the push-ups and kind of more HIIT style workouts that are on the ground.
Got you.
Yeah.
Got you. That's awesome. So how have you, just looking at your page and knowing you for a bit of time, you've gone, well, not gone, you're still involved on the movement therapy side, like being a former athlete. I would say you're still an athlete. Once an athlete, always an athlete, really.
Right.
And then on the, animal flow side, all these other certifications where it comes to enriching the body, like how did you end up getting involved in Heal the People ATL and, the mental health portion of, like your workflow?
Yeah, I feel like there's always been a level of consciousness or maturity that I've had above my peers. Just within being a natural born leader, but even getting into yoga was my real start of wow, you can be more calm, you can be more present, you can be more understanding through just not even practicing the physical part of yoga, but really learning, all 8 limbs of yoga, and then understanding how breath can help, how just stillness can help. So as much as I push movement way more, but stillness is key. In massage school, I actually did my Reiki level 1 certification. So that is another level of energetically and be able to cleanse the body, cleanse the mind through that. My ex, she was very into mental health, and that was a major. So, naturally being with her, those things kind of poured over. And then to start Heal Our People, that it was just a crazy time. With a lot, just with quarantine, we're quarantined and we kind of just got let out. And then all the killings of innocent Black people. I feel like and I'm in Atlanta, so I feel like a lot of things were happening here in Atlanta. I feel like we were reacting. Yeah. And we were reacting out of hate, that stuff that was put sent towards us or happening to us out of hate. And I just believe in love. So I just believe we need, if we heal and if we heal ourselves, then we can start to move with love. And we keep sending love through the air, through energetically, and just really touching people and loving them. It'll only inspire more love. So I was kind of pushing that lane. So when I started to Heal Our People, I know I can heal the physical. And I know I'm in touch with other people who heal energetically, who can stretch, who can lead yoga, who can lead the mind, who can, do mental health discussions. And really mental health is just talking about your mental. And not to downplay any licensed therapists, because they're professionals that talk about it. But if the more conversations we're having on these topics, then the health, we're becoming more healthy within it. So that was one of the parts I really wanted to have, because even if you can be the most in shape person or the most flexible person, if you're still battling demons inside, or you're still holding on to grudges, or you're still dealing with PTSD, you're not gonna be able to really heal and move with proper intentions. So that's why Heal Our People started. I guess my own meditation, my own stillness, my own, practice allows me to be able to have beginner level conversations with it. But I definitely but I'm also a vulnerable and open person. I'm willing to share I'm willing to travel and open my mind, or really the process of deconditioning my mind. So I was when we start to decondition the mind, then it's well, why do I think this way? A lot of times people just oh, I don't like that because I don't like that, or I am this way, and that's just that. And it's well, why are you this way? What was the thing that started that? There's something that subconsciously started that. So it's if you could travel back in your mind and really just dig back and peel back and find out what that is, then to me that's a healthier, healthier mental.
Keegan, what's interesting about what he's saying, and then also from the previous conversation. So Fia, that's the therapist we spoke to, the psychologist, and she was just talking about how there's a connection between hair and therapy. You can give people advice and help them through their mental like wellness by doing their hair and having that safe environment for them to come
That
forth.
touch, that connection.
Exactly, that physical touch. And that's something that you have with these people as well. It seems that, you know, maybe going to a therapist is a little intimidating for a lot of people, right? How else do you actually engage with people, right? So a lot of people used to say like the barbershop's the therapist's office, right? Because it was a safe space to be in. But now when you're like teaching these people these different things about their bodies, and then you have that physical connection with them, they're ready to open up as well. So that's like another healing area. And then she's doing hair and touching people's hair and like actually connecting with them on a deeper level, because even as Black people, we have a deep connection with our hair, right? It's a part of our identity. Right. It's a way into the soul. So I'm looking at these different avenues into the soul that's not as traditional as just going to a therapist's office, but it's actually through wellness practices as well. So it's pretty interesting to hear you say that. So, and you mentioned stillness, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'll ask this one question. It's a very basic question, but I think it can open up a lot of conversation. But on average, do you believe that we breathe correctly?
On average, no.
Okay. And can you explain why not?
I think on average, people aren't even taught like the importance of our breath. Okay. The power, like it's literally your life force. Like when the shirt says "I can't breathe," I don't think people are really like they wear it because you know somebody was killed from being choked, but it's like not really understanding like if you don't have your breath, you will not live. Mm-hmm. How important that is. Like, so it's just we take it for granted because as we're talking, we're breathing. As we're just walking, we're breathing. But no, like we rarely collectively as a group, or collectively, we don't take the time to really like.
We don't breathe with intention.
You know? Yeah, exactly. With intention, just sitting like, okay, I'm going to focus on my breath. Like I'm going to build up to 4-second breathing, where I'm inhaling for 4 seconds, exhaling for 4 seconds. Really breathing into my diaphragm, so belly breathing. Mm-hmm. So my belly, extracting, extending when I'm taking inhale, and compressing back in when I'm exhaling. So it's like people, they just breathe, and sometimes they breathe with their chest, so their chest is lifting. It's like, I understand because I think the basics that we learn about breathing is like lungs. Like we learn about like heart, lungs where you breathe, it's where your air is. So people just think like, this is where they breathe from here. And that's such a short breath when you're really breathing from your diaphragm. And so, yeah, I think collectively, no, we do not breathe properly.
Like even the benefits, right? So when you talk about mental health, it's very connected because if you're breathing correctly, as you mentioned, like the diaphragmatic breathing with your diaphragm through your belly, you're actually reducing stress, right? You're releasing stress, and like you can actually focus a lot more. We want to get into that a little bit.
Yes, I was going to say earlier how the body follows the mind.
Correct.
So some people come in and they're stiff, but I could tell already by the way they walk in that they're like what type of person they are. And your stiff or rigid person is your type A, go, never has time to do anything. They're up and they're at it, and they never stop, and their mind is always going and their body's always going. So they never have time to really just relax. But their mind is never relaxed, so that way their body will never follow that. They're always tense or they're on guard. Those things, mentally they're on guard. Mentally they're going. So their body doesn't understand to just drop, surrender, relax. And that's going to be one of the main things of like that connection between mind and body. Again, with that connection with your breath, if you're not breathing properly, then your body is going to be tense. If your body's only getting 2-second inhale, 2-second exhales, it's not going to be able to really.
Do you remember when
expand or like really relax and like and just let go? Mm-hmm. People might take like 2 of those a day, maybe. Yeah. And it's like after they just finally really like they got off work or some big stressful thing ended, but not really just because they got up and just like, okay, I'm grateful. Let me charge my breath. Let me charge my body with breath.
Jordan, you remember when I came in for a session? What person, what type was I when I came in? Was I rigid? Do you remember?
I can guess.
I would try to say, only time I remember the body, your mind was just skeptical.
Yep.
So because your mind was skeptical, it didn't allow the surrendering of your body. Until like I had to make a believer. Like I usually when I work on one side only, all the way up, and I have them walk around and then feel the difference between one side and the other side. And I think then it was like, oh, okay, this you kind of making a difference. All right, I might give you a little more trust. And then afterwards, you were really like, after the session was all the way over, like, oh, yeah, you might need to come back up more often.
Yeah, for real. You know what it was? I think it was a little bit of ego too, because my girl was like, yeah, and then afterwards he put me on his feet and he got like does this acro thing where he like spin me around. And I was like, wait, what? You let this man spin you in the air? Like, I was like, and then you pay him money for it? I was like, yo, no. So I came in there like, let me see what this dude is doing.
It's funny because yes, black men, unfortunately, we have this ego thing of like, another man can help me, like do what I can't do, or worse, help somebody I love do what I can't do. Like, nah, I don't believe it, I don't want to accept it. So I love when black men come in, like, just because I know it's not for me. I know it's not like, there's women who book and they're booking just to see me. I get it. It's cool. They're flattered. Some people really have something wrong with their body, but they want to come to somebody they feel comfortable with, or like, I've heard it like, oh, well, you're easy on the eyes, so I figured it's easier to, might as well book with you. Flattered. Men are not coming in for me. Men are not coming in like straight black men are not coming in booking to look at me. And even some, homosexual men are not either. Because I think for maybe early in the game when I started, I might have just told whoever no, and I feel like they went back to the community. It was like, nah, don't try him. So since then, I didn't really get tried on the table. So we're good. But when men come in, it's like, wow, like you care about your body so much that you're putting this ego aside. Either that or you're an athlete and you're used to people just handling your body like a machine. And it's not even really, it's just you really lay down and then like, it's like you're in the dock or the bay of the car spot. I'm not a car person.
Don't worry about it.
It's all right. Me neither. But we get you.
You drive your car off and they're doing the thing like, all right, so and so on bay 1. That's how
detailing it and everything else like that. It's odd. It's like you mentioned like men don't really come in, but it's like great for them to come in though. But we probably need it the most, right? Like we're hardest on our bodies. We carry the most stress because we're not as vulnerable, right? We're not really in tune with our emotions like that. But then the ego is just such a powerful force. It'll keep us out of there, right? It's just like, no, I got it. Like I got it. Like, well, I can learn something like yoga is gonna clear up my stress. It's gonna make me feel a lot better. Nah, that sounds like BS to me. But honestly, men benefit from most of that stuff. Like more than women, because I would say more than women because we just hold in a lot of stuff. And I feel like, do you go out of your way to try to market to men or bring men in, or have you ever done anything to kind of get men through the doors?
I have not. I really just market. I just market. So I market via Instagram. So my Instagram has primarily women, female followers, but I just market, and then I market what I can do for bodies. And I don't really say, woman, like, come out, you can relax, this or that. It's always like, this client, and maybe I tag his or her name, dealt with shoulder issues or was working on mobility or improved their forward fold. So it's very like, it might be like sciatic pain. The only time it's catered to women is when I talk about my prenatal session.
Gotcha.
But outside of that, it's just very like the body.
Yeah.
Because I work on the body that everybody, like both men and female and men and women have.
Absolutely.
Definitely makes sense. What would you say to men? I think, like back to the ego thing. I think a lot of times men don't really want to gravitate towards, like doing this thing for like self-care, for example,
Mm-hmm.
because we have that ego, like you were saying, where we got to be tough. Like we don't like we got to be hurt. Like I'm gonna do like Mario and I. We both do martial arts. Like Mario started doing Muay Thai. I've been doing Kung Fu and Wing Chun for a couple years, things like that.
Yeah.
And I remember I had really tore up my IT band and it was bound down and like super tight. And for a long time, I was like, oh man, look how tight my IT band was. And I thought, like it's tight because I'm strong, but it's actually tight because like I'm in pain and I'm hurting myself. I'm ignoring this pain because I'm thinking that the pain is good because I don't know, like I felt like I felt tougher because I was feeling pain. But what would you say? Yeah, it's stupid. What would you say to men that are, skeptical about, self-care, pain management, like actually taking care of their bodies and stuff like that and getting them out of that mindset of trying to be, tough all the time?
I would just back to that condition. It's like reconditioning or deconditioning the mind. So every older man or woman that told you you got to be tough and you just got to like suck it up, like no, you don't. You don't have to suck it up. Like address your body. You have one.
Yeah.
We all have one body, so like address it. Women typically live longer than men because women take care of their bodies. They take care of all the little things, and the little things when you're 85 really add up. But if you're, when you're 30, you, like when you're 25, you can't tell a 25-year-old man anything. Like it's just, they're invincible. 25-year-old men, both like young men, invincible. Like jump off that building. Like all right, cool. Like
Yeah.
and they might ask like how much you pay me after, but they're gonna jump. It's not like I ask to a 30, ask 35, 40-year-old man jump off the building. It's not happening. But they're gonna think different. But the 25-year-old woman is not jumping off the building. They already understand like that's not gonna make sense for my body. Like that's not self for any. That does nothing for my wealth, my health and wellness, like at all. 25-year-olds like, oh, whatever, I'll deal with it later. If something breaks, like, oh, it broke. But yeah, I think just a simple advice is really just listen to your body. My mentor, who's a massage therapist in New York, he has a quote on his wall. It says, if you listen to your body when it whispers, you won't have to hear it scream. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, most of the time we have to like the warning signs, like the whisper, like that little pain, like, yeah. You know what I mean? It's like, but then you're just like, you ignore it and it's screaming. Fun fact, the IT band actually can never be tight. It's designed to stay the same size or length and just keep the knee and the hip together. It's actually your vastus lateralis, your most outside quad muscle. That's tight.
So like, not like the glute area. Is that like, or it's just
no,
like top of the quad?
Yeah, outer quad. So it starts like on the most outside part of your thigh, and then runs on the outside and it attaches to the back of your thigh. So it really attaches next to the hamstrings, but because it covers that much ground, most of the time that's tight, and people would just say the IT band is tight when the IT band is not a muscle that can build up or break down or stretch or anything. It's just a band. Now the muscle, vastus lateralis, is the muscle you want to address.
Yeah, whatever it is, I just know whenever I use the roller on it, like I'm in tears.
Yep, for real.
It's like the worst pain in the world.
I was just about to say and I gotta break out the foam roller and just like focus on that spot for a bit. I've been doing the wrong thing for a while.
Use if you want real fun, use a lacrosse ball.
I have that thing sucks, man. Yeah, you get a good release though, but it sucks. It hurts.
Yeah.
So Jordan, like we spoke about, you touched on like the physical aspect, and you spoke about the mental aspect of health. Do you consult, or are you familiar with anything in the health field as far as like food? So dieting. and how
I
important that is?
I don't consult. I just made the switch to a plant-based diet September. Like
Okay.
really October of last year, of 2019.
And what was the catalyst for that?
You said what was that?
What was the trigger for that?
Realizing I'm just eating like shit.
So yeah, let me, because I always like to get into the, like, just hear about people's journey like this. Like, what were you eating before that you consider shit, and then what are you eating now?
All fast food.
Okay.
So not McDonald's, but Chick-fil-A was like every day, sometimes
Okay.
twice. I'm in Atlanta. Waffle House was a regular. Dunkin' Donuts in the morning.
And this is while you're doing your practice as well, right?
Yeah, like Wendy's, Zaxby's.
It's quick and easy.
Yeah, all fried chicken. Yeah.
Track athletes eat terrible. I ran track in high school. We did not eat anything that was like healthy at all. We never had a salad.
It was like you can write it off.
Yeah, exactly. Like you would just be like, all right, I'm gonna have, I'm gonna go to Wendy's. I'm gonna order a triple baconator. And that was
at the end of the day, it is bad food, but it's just empty calories. That's all it really is. So it's empty calories, and then you guys just run it off fairly easily, like in one practice, right?
I'm gonna let
you're young for sure. So I turned 30 this year in March. So the body's changing. It's not accepting the crap that I'm feeding anymore. I'm running and I'm like, I feel lethargic a little bit. Like definitely when I stop running, I get back into it, I feel lethargic. It was also one of my partners, when we met, she is vegan. And she was there was one time I went to kiss her and she kind of was like trying to stay away from kissing me. She was like, honestly, like, I don't kiss you because you just had chicken a little while ago.
That's what Maya said. Maya posted something like that. The singer. She's like, I don't kiss men who have dead animal meat on their breath. I'm like, oh, damn,
yeah.
Maya.
Right. So I was like, damn, I really like this girl. I was like, all right, cool. And then I also knew I needed to make a change anyway. So then I think I went down and visited her, and she was eating vegan the whole time. So I was like there for 3 days. And I was eating clean. I was eating vegan for the whole time. So when I came back to Atlanta, and it was like the time to choose what to eat, I was like, I could make this a day 4, or I could just wipe out the 3 days. And I chose to make it day 4, and I chose to make it day 5, and I kept going. And I also watched a documentary called Game Changers on Netflix. Really good. It talks about plant-based athletes.
Correct.
So it's not a scare tactic. Where What the Health, I saw that and I went vegan for 2 months because I was like, I'm gonna die if I don't change this.
Same. Keegan was just like, Keegan just sent me a bunch of facts when I watched What the Health. He's like, look, man, they're trying to scare you. And I was like, all right, I'll go back. Slowly but surely. But I think within that month and a half that I did go vegan, I did pick up like some meals that I could just eat and substitute for things that I was eating that was probably crappy. So like I still eat in like moderation. Like I'm very conscious about eating fast food, but for me, I never really indulged in it that much. And I always want to just know, like, how has like vegan or being raw plant-based diets and stuff like that, how does it make you feel now? And then also there's a question I want to tie into that, because I have friends who do it and they're like, oh, I do plant-based meals, but then they're going to eat like chicken nuggets that are vegan, or then like
nugs.
Nugs and stuff like that. I'm like, is that just as healthy, or is it just meat avoidance?
So how I feel eating plant-based, 2 major things that's always my takeaway. I tell everybody, especially men. When running, I don't feel like, when I get back to running, I don't feel in my system like I'm running through mud or like I got to get back in shape. It's more of just like, okay, I'm here. Like it snaps back quicker. I could work out maybe once or twice a week and keep a frame that I enjoy aesthetically, and it's like, wow, I've really only been working. I've been running 2 or 3 times a week and working out maybe twice, and I'm still keeping a decent frame versus before I had to like really work out every day. It didn't take super long, but it was still a time period. And then honestly, sex has been way better. Like in the documentary, they talk about they test 3 college athletes, and they give them all like it's like grass-fed beef and this type of chicken, all like the high level meats, and measure their erections throughout the night, the amount of erections and how long the erections were, and then they all gave them like bean burritos the next night. So it was burritos both times, but the bean burritos was the next night, and then all of their numbers went up drastically. And I was like, oh. Yeah. So in the beginning, when I met this young lady, I was not plant-based. Everything, we had great sex, but it was, and I already athlete, and I already have stamina, so I was already lasting. Then went to the plant-based diet, and it was like, all right, I'm ready to be done, and I'm not. Like I can't even just like. So I was like, this is your fault. Like you wanted me to be this way, now I'm this way, and now
I'm a machine. That's funny.
Now I'm a machine. Now I can't stop. And there was a time when my dick was playing games and not getting up immediately. And it was during a time when I had like Zaxby's 3 times a week. So afterwards I was up and everything was working fine, whatever. And I was beating myself up. Like I woke up the next morning, like, what happened last night? Like, why am I? And I was like, chicken. And that was back in April. Since then, I was like, nah, I'm not losing my superpower. Like, I gained it. I can't lose it. It's like
kryptonite.
Yeah, right. Meat is the kryptonite. Like, it's just
I hear the same thing. I was in a martial arts seminar, I think about 2 years ago, and I'm training with this dude, and dude's a legend, right? His name is Lee Moishan. Like, he's maybe about 75, 80 years old. He trained under one of Ip Man's students, things like that. Like, this is a legit dude, and I'm working out, and he literally stops, like, over to me, and he was like, yo, you eat too much meat. He eyeballed me, and he was like, you eat too much meat. He's like, eat 20 vegetables going forward. Like, he's like, you need to drop how much meat you eat now, and only eat about 20% of your diet needs to be meat. And I was just like, how do you just look at somebody the way that they're moving and like how they're, I don't know, like their posture, things like that, and be able to tell that your diet is having that much of an effect on you. But it's real. Yeah. I notice the difference now too. Like if I eat too much meat, you know, I could tell when my body's reacting to it. And I'm like, I need to eat some broccoli or something. Like I need cabbage, like just something clean.
Right. Yeah. And to the second part of your question, I'm still one of those plant-based people that still eat a lot of replacements. Like literally right before this, I had a Beyond Burger and a chicken patty sandwich with fries, the vegan cheese, I had jalapenos, I had some grilled onions on it. So I mean, they were great sandwiches. I'm full, I feel great, but I also don't feel like I just had like a double cheeseburger. So it doesn't feel as heavy.
It's a different feel, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm thinking like I need to start a fast food vegan restaurant. Like, you know what I mean? It won't really it won't take away from the home cooked vegan, restaurants and the raw vegan spots. But a lot of people who want to make a switch and feel like they're not ready for kale salads and green juices, they might be like, oh, okay, this is not meat, but it still kind of tastes like meat.
It's a midpoint that they need to reach. Isn't there one like that in Atlanta?
So
like a burger spot or something like that.
Yeah, Slutty Vegan. It's a big one.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that's yeah. So they're good. They make their burgers with Impossible Burgers. Yep. Which are good. I rather Beyond Burgers over Impossible.
Same.
Ingredient wise, I don't know the difference. I just know Beyond tastes better.
Yep. No, I feel the same way. The same way.
Dope. I had one question, like just kind of going back to Atlanta, and I just kind of want to understand like a little bit about what's happening there. You know, like after I feel like the last couple of months have been kind of hard on. It's been hard on everybody across like around the globe, right? But you know, like we got COVID, we had the Ahmaud Arbery like murdered, then we had George Floyd, we just had Jacob Blake. Like how are things, what's the vibe in Atlanta right now? Like how are people reacting? Like are people like is it just like fatigue, or like are people talking about it? Like I know there's protests like pretty much around the entire country, but what's the vibe going on down there?
For in Atlanta, for a while, every day there was like 8 different protests at different times, different places, with hundreds of people. People are still protesting here and there. There is Atlanta is broken up anyway. So even within the Black community, you got the ratchets, you got the kale salads and yoga mats, you got the Mercedes Benz and condos and Fortune 500 like companies and CEOs. So you have different pockets of Atlanta and like different demographics of people. But at one point we were all like upset and fed up, and be able to come together and really put together these protests. Now, businesses are back open. So there's Atlanta is open. Like anything you want to do in Atlanta, you can do. So it's just a matter of having a mask on. So gyms are open, clubs are open, parties are happening, brunches are, mimosas are being poured. So that brings down it like settles people. I think a lot of that part was like people were quarantined and then had to like explode out of that. You know what I mean? So it's like you're quarantined for months and then you were like killing us. So it's like we were reacting. So now people have either gone back to their vices or just gone back to regular life where they don't feel as caged. So the vibe is, but there's definitely still protests going on. There's definitely people, and because Atlanta is still a very Black city and very for its people, that will always be there. But I still think, people like, you come to Atlanta, you think COVID is over with. I think some people will come here and be like, y'all worried about COVID? I mean, now that it's mandated to wear masks, but outside of that, things are still open. You can still go to the strip club. You can still go to whatever lounge. You can still have your brunch. You can still go shopping. Anything you want to do, you just have to have the mask on.
You have to have a mask on in the strip club?
I haven't been, but yes, I've heard.
Good save.
Strippers are stripping with masks on them. They got the real fancy ones,
Oh, I can imagine. Anyway,
I'm curious now, though. I'm like,
I'm very curious now. But yeah, from what my boy is telling me, it's pretty much just open for business. New York, not so much. We're still kind of clinging. We're just eating outside for the most part, limited service. But I feel like it's not as tense as it was back in like March and April. I haven't seen Keegan since his wedding in February.
Yeah.
So it's still that like divide, but yeah, I think it is getting better. People were really stressing out. I don't know how it was in Atlanta with just the stress levels and people just not being able to go outside and how that impacted mental health. Like, were you dealing with anything like that with your clients?
So I wasn't seeing a lot of clients during the heart of COVID, or the heart of this wave of the quarantine, because I was in a gym and the gym closed. So now I finally got into a new studio that's not in a gym. So I'm finally getting to see people. I know, but I do know that's one of the reasons why I started Heal Our People. Guys knew we needed healing. We needed to talk about things. I didn't really look and observe outside or Atlanta or the world too much outside of what Instagram will post, and I'm just trying to like knock that out. But I did a lot of self-work during quarantine, which helped. Like a lot of growth for myself, a lot of understanding of like, why do I do this? What about, I need to forgive myself over certain things.
A lot of mindfulness.
Huh?
It's a lot of mindfulness.
Yeah, a lot. I'm polyamorous as well, so dealing, like operating with multiple partners and trying to show up for everybody. That was a lot of my work of like wanting to build and grow and be successful in that. So,
so, so Jordan, I know we're coming up on time, but I wanted to quickly like just find out and just for everybody that's watching, how can people find you if they're in the ATL? How can they find you from either a movement therapy piece or even just like Heal the People? What's the best way for people to contact and connect with you?
Best way is gonna be Instagram at Movement by Jordan. Everything's on there. You'll be able to, in that link in that bio, you'll be able to have access to booking a session, see me for a class, or even seeing like when the next Heal Our People event is going on. I post everything on there. I post a lot of stretching tips on there as well. That I try to be more and more resourceful. For any guys that come, I don't know when you may drop into my page. I'm open my body. There's a couple nudes that slide in and out there, so just bear with me.
Just be prepared.
You know what I mean? Like, don't be like, this guy is just. It's usually with another woman, so you know what I mean. Just look at her, block me out, whatever. But there's some good tips, and there's good content in between those.
Nah, for real, man. I follow your the posture one for the desk, like the one that you posted recently. Yeah, like, cause I'm always like this. Yeah, I'm always like that at work. Work from home, you always crouched over, so that's dope. I ignore the nudes.
I have to, my mind just. So you mentioned that you're poly. I know this doesn't really have much to do with like.
I knew you was going to ask this question.
I have to go back, all right? Because I mean, everyone has to quarantine. So who do you spend time with then? I don't. Like, how do you manage that? Like, cause you need time to yourself a little bit, but then you still have two people who are just like, yo, quarantining by myself. How do you work?
Yeah, it was more than two people, but so I live with one of my partners, so we were able to, and then her male primary partner was pretty much living with us as well.
Okay.
So that was a different dynamic. So we had our own rooms, and it's really her house. I'm like renting a room in and out of her house, and so that dynamic was dope to just be the other, and like really check a lot of pride and ego and things. But also to just be able to see the love and like see happiness and bliss in my partner. It was dope, and it helped me to be able to grow. So that was one, and then partners would come down and visit, or I would go out and visit, and then a lot of phone conversation. But yeah, I think it was a lot. I mean, traveling was still happening, so people were able to come in, hotel room kind of thing, and a lot of phone conversations because a lot of people not in Atlanta, so really only one is in Atlanta, and the others are in different cities.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I was curious, very curious.
Yeah.
How do you even manage that?
That's a whole other
that's a whole other episode.
Yeah. We'll bring you back on.
Yeah, I have a podcast for that. It's called Holy Poly, and so it talks about that. So yeah, if you want to, it's on Anchor, it's on Spotify. Anybody who's interested in that part of my world and lifestyle, it's a very healthy podcast. It just talks about me and my partner I live with, our dynamic, our experiences within the polyamorous world.
Cool.
Okay.
I can't ask questions about this. Wife.
You're married.
I'm married.
Yeah. I mean, you could, but yeah, well, I guess
she will kill me and come after you.
That's it. That was it.
Yep. I'll be listening tonight. All right. Well, Keegan could take us home.
All right, man. That was it, man. I appreciate you coming out. Thank you. Till next time. Again, anybody go follow Movement by Jordan on Instagram. Salute. Thanks, man.
Thanks, Jordan.
Peace and love.
Peace, brother.